So welcome to our August 30th Oregon One Online Improvement Committee. And this time around, just want to welcome you and give everyone an opportunity to introduce themselves in the chat. I neglected to do that last time. You know, if you could put your name, your role, and I think this suggestion came from George, your favorite pizza topping in the chat. We'd love to see that. And in a moment, I'll do that myself. But I just wanted to give a quick overview too of our work last week, where we covered a lot. We went through, what was it, about a dozen items and a dozen improvement ideas. We talked about it. We asked you guys to vote. I hope everyone here did. And we also talked about different ways we could prioritize and just sort of settled on a mixed one. We can still change that around. We shared a couple other items. There's the form that allows anyone to make suggestions on how to improve the one system. And then we showed the initial graphic for trying to give an explanation of what the heck happens after we make a suggestion. So, so we're going to talk more about that this meeting. One other blurb is that the second bullet that's here is you'll be happy to know that the suggestion that was made at the a couple meetings ago about updating the language about how to reset your password, that is going into the build. I think it's coming up just in a few weeks, well, in about a month. I think it's September 27th, if I check my notes correctly. So people will see that change in about a month. So, and George, you want to talk about this next item?
Yeah, I was just trying to get my agenda. I forgot where it went. Okay, where did you go off?
That third bullet.
On the overview of previous meeting?
On the welcome slide that we can see.
Okay. Well, did an overview of precious meeting decisions and action items. And then the password change improvement update. Anyone?
Yes.
Huh?
So yeah, you talk about our planning meeting we had a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. You want me to tell them what we did? Is that what that is?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So what we did was Samantha, myself, James, and the other lady, we all came together and we made out the agenda and went over some things. I'm going over the charter and trying to get it in before September 6th. And which is what we're going to probably be discussing too as well on the agenda, I'm sure. And it was a pretty good, pretty productive meeting. We got to learn a lot of things. And then the password change improvement update.
Yeah, I was just talking about that. That's set to go in a month from now. So everyone will be able to see this change. You know, and remember, it was just clarifying what we mean by special characters in the password. You got to have one, but it's got to be just one of those that was listed, not saying, oh, here's an example of the ones. So small change, but it should reduce confusion for people as they reset their password every 90 days, which that's another whole thing.
James, I
Yeah.
was wondering, with this password change improvement update, I was wondering if we can get the committee's perspective on this, if they've already changed their password before, and see what, since we're on the subject anyway, if you want to do that. How does the committee feel about that?
Sure, that's a good idea. Anyone experience a password update?
Okay, well, I'll tell you my experience. I just went into my account the other day and it told me I had to change my password. So it went, when it reads 12, I thought I had already gotten 12 in there, but it kept telling me I had to change characters, which was challenging for me. But I got the idea because I thought I had already had the 12, but I ended up counting and it ended up being 8, so I had to change my password. But other than that, I guess when I get used to changing my password, I'll have to remember to put in over 12 things on it every time I change my password. I would like to hear, or we would like to hear from the committee as to any experiences you've had with this.
I know we have a lot of the sisters. Ruth, you probably, and Judy, you probably have direct experience with it, but is it not a, sisters, maybe you're an old pro and you're able to tell people what they need to put in, or?
Well, I have found that if you keep changing the password, I've had to get a regular notebook and write down all the passwords, because when they change so often, you can't keep track of them in your head. And so that's become a problem for several of the people that I know, is just plain trying to keep track of it so you can use it again.
Anybody else? Someone speaking up?
I would second that same experience in general. You just run out of passwords.
Judith? Mariah?
Well, thank you very much for asking, but I haven't had any, I have had no issues with it, so I don't have any input to put on there, George.
Okay, April, Randy, Mariah, Melissa?
Professionally or personally? Do we mean professionally or personally? Just in general, just changing your password just to change it, or when this improvement becomes in effect next month, or what do we mean?
Everything in general.
So I'm an assister, and then I also personally am a recipient of OEP myself, and I haven't had a notification or needed to change my password situation. A lot of our smartphones and this and that will save passwords for us on keychains and such like that. So luckily that's, Face ID, things like that. Or if your password, it can resend you a link or something to your email that you have associated. So as far as the password or the password change, I guess until next month when it actually takes effect, I probably don't have experience in this moment right now with it personally or professionally.
I got down with the frustration of having to change passwords so much that I started using the same password for everything. So if I changed it one, it changed it on all of them. And if I got caught by Microsoft on that, saying that's a no-no.
Oh, Microsoft is used to me. I just bypass it. I'm sorry. Passwords have to be friendly to me.
What about you, April? Angel? Melissa?
I have never used applicant portal, so I'm not sure.
Sydney?
Also haven't used it, nor have I heard complaints regarding the password from families I work with. Just what I've heard in these meetings, which would be maybe the frequency, but other than that, I haven't heard anything negative.
We have a pretty big agenda, so this,
Okay. Passwords
are definitely something that, people unfortunately have to wrestle with a lot in this system. And if we're making people write them down on a piece of paper they carry around, it's like, how secure is that too? But that is a larger issue. But speaking of some of the issues we have to wrestle with, let's go ahead and look at that priority list that we had, and I'm going to hand it over to Melissa and Samantha to talk about this.
Thank you. So we did receive six votes for the potential next items for us to submit for improvements. So of those, option number 7, which is increase the amount of time before automatically being signed out from 10 minutes to 15 minutes, got the majority of the votes. And then option 3, 4, 5, 9, and 11 all tied at 3 votes. So I think what we'll need to do today is we could definitely move forward option 7. And then we'll need to prioritize from 3, 4, 5, 9, and 11. What of those 5 would also need to, would we want to move forward from there?
Melissa, I got a message that came up. They want to make it, someone would like for it to be bigger.
Okay. Angel, can you stop sharing for a second, please? Thank you.
And keep in mind, there is a control at the top of the screen that when someone is sharing under view options, that you can adjust the size of the screen, the appearance of the screen as well.
Is that better?
Much better.
Thank you.
Ruth, can you read that? You're muted.
Ruth, can you see
Yeah,
the
yes,
screen?
yes, I can
Okay.
read it now. But
Okay.
I've got the only thing I got on my screen is that
Yeah.
chart.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Okay.
All right. Yeah, go ahead.
Melissa, did you get mine? Did you get mine in the email?
I did not. Did you send it to me?
I did.
Probably in my junk email. I haven't checked for the last 2 weeks, George. I'll go in and pull it out. Give me a second here.
So a little bit of context while Melissa is pulling up those votes. We're going to, as you know, do only a handful of these each month, 3 or so, and we will and it may vary from different pressures and such, but so in a sense, what we're doing by prioritizing is just, something's a priority 1, it's definitely going in next month. If it's a priority 4 or 5, it might be the following month. So it's not as if it's not going to happen, but it's just pushed a little later. It's just which things do we need to do immediately and which ones can wait a little bit.
Mhm.
James, this is Judy Richards, and I just have a favor to ask, and I may be way out there, but we've canceled a couple of meetings. Did we not in the last, on my schedule, on the schedule that I'd received from you, it showed that we had a meeting last week and the week before, and I sat here and waited and nothing happened. And then I realized, there's nobody there. So can we be more, can we communicate a little better by email of the schedule changes and when our next meeting's going to be, so that we can make sure that we are here to attend it, because that's what we want to do.
I am really sorry to hear that you came for last week's meeting. We haven't technically canceled. We did move last week's to this week is what happened. And so that's a frustrating experience when you don't follow that. But Angel has been sending out the email updates. You can always search for the latest email from Angel to make sure that you see the scheduling. And we will be more diligent about keeping you updated on what are, what's happening. But for now, for the foreseeable future, we're going to be on the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month.
2nd and 4th Wednesday. Thank you.
You're welcome. And it also shows at the end of all the agendas and the notes when the next meeting is. So if there's a better way to provide that information, just let us know so we can make sure we're providing it in a way that works for everybody.
Well, you do know that you're interrupting my senior day shopping at others that are on this.
We probably should change the day.
And also on mine, I've been trying to get in on the team that was sent to my calendar, and then finally went back and found the Zoom address so I could get in.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with those appointments. I think that some of them, like when they were originally sent out, if the original appointment wasn't written over top of it, maybe. I don't know why it's doing it. Mine did that for a long time too, and Angel finally fixed it for me, but I don't know. I don't know if it was just a glitch.
I think Microsoft loves their Teams, and so they try to default and put a Teams in there. We got to be more careful about deleting that out, is what I think happened.
Yeah.
James,
I'm sorry, George.
I was just thinking maybe we could put the meetings at the end of each agenda from the 2nd and 4th of each month at the end of every agenda, and then or just send out a list of when the meetings are.
We could add a list, but at the end of each agenda is the invite and the link for the next meeting.
Okay. Could there also be a list to?
Yeah, we could add that.
Kind of state, well, this is within the 6 months. This is the dates of each month, from say September to maybe February, or however, it's going to be easier for the committee. That way it's not interrupting the other meetings.
Yeah, we're going to have to discuss what we're going to be doing over the holidays. So, in November and December, but otherwise, yeah, I think that would be good.
Is there any way that a chart like this that you're going to be using could be sent to me ahead of time so I can put it on my screen so I could see it?
Yeah.
Yes, that was definitely something we missed doing this time, and we apologize. Would it be helpful, Ruth, if I sent it right now so you can see it?
Yes.
Better. Okay. Let me do that while we're chatting here.
Yes, because I can go get it and bring it up and have it on my screen.
Okay.
Melissa, I would also recommend or suggest Could we get these sent out like 1 or 2 weeks in advance? That could probably help out too. That way it's not so much on you guys.
We could, but we didn't even get all the votes in this time, but we could, if we work towards getting those votes in sooner, then we can get it out sooner.
Okay,
Definitely.
good idea.
You're welcome. All right, James, you want to fill the empty space for a second while I get Richard's email?
All right. So what we have here are the 12 options that we discussed last week and that you voted on. And really what we what we need to do here is, okay, first of all, yeah, I guess 2 things. One, relatively simple, and one more difficult. So as Melissa already said, the option 7, increasing the amount of time before you're kicked out, that one, that one got a lot of votes. That could easily be our top priority and be top of the list, and without objection. But how do we? The big question that we're facing then is, how do we organize those other items? And I guess Melissa's going to be adding votes. This question may get altered a bit, but nonetheless, I think we're sort of just leaving it open to see, well, among option 3, the explanatory text about some of the icons that appear, and we have some screenshots of that. Option 4, the make a less threatening sounding question about removal or deportation language. Option 5, clarify the I'm trying to remember this one myself.
That was like a pretty substantial rewrite of that page, James, to make it, to clarify what actually needs to happen when people land on that page around what they actually have to upload, what's required and what's optional. It's making it sound like all of these things are required when they're really not.
Right. Yes. Thank you, Samantha. And and then option 9, this would be adding a link so you can return to the login screen after you update your password. I guess it sort of follows with the one, well, it's related. I shouldn't say follows, but it's related to the one we've done before. And then option 11, just letting people know so that they have a heads up that they're going to be changing their password every 90 days. We can pull in another option that's got a few less votes too, but it seems like these 5 do need to be prioritized in some fashion.
James, can I
yeah, go ahead.
So, just looking at the calendar, right? For when we're thinking about the way that we have to go through the process to get changes approved in the system, we're looking at our October 11th release. We have 1 slot for October 11th, and then we have 2 slots for, I want to say it's October 27th. So for items we want to do and I'm sorry guys if this gets really, really boring, bureaucracy, yay. But for October 25th, we need to have everything approved by September 29th. For October 11th, we have to have them approved for September 15th, right? We have 1 meeting between now and September 15th. So we can't submit changes to be approved by September 15th at the end of the day on September 13th, right? Some of these changes, option 3, 4, and 5 are 3 and 5 are substantial rewrites to the page. We're changing a lot of text. Option 4 is we need to do a little more researching around it as well. I did go out and talk to our refugee policy group a little bit about it and look at some options and opportunities, but we might need to do a little more research on it. So I think my thought process here is let's keep all of the threes as our top priority, understanding that some will take us a little bit more time to be ready to submit, but we can be working on all of them actively. Just because we voted on something doesn't mean we're ready to submit it, is kind of what I'm thinking. And please tell me, guys, if you are like, no, I absolutely disagree. I'm not going to die on this hill. This is your group and your suggestions. We can work at whatever speed you need.
And as you think about that and read these options too, I want to throw in another wrinkle. I know that this is small stuff, sort of chump change.
Kicked out.
And I'm back. So sorry about that. Something happened to my internet. But I'm back.
Okay, guys, we'd like your input. Now's the time. Let them know what you think.
And as I was saying before, the internet really got disrupted too. We know that there's bigger changes, bigger things that you want to work on as well. This is relatively small things. We do know that we're going to be talking about that later in the meeting. What is the process for making these changes, these smaller changes and larger changes? So, but we do need, as George said, your input on these. So feel free to put a comment in the chat or just simply speak up. Or if you have any questions on any of them as well. As what Samantha brought up is has some weight as well.
I mean, I think it makes sense that some are going to take more time to straighten out. So prioritizing the others, I don't think there's an issue there.
So Sydney, which one were you referring to? I'm sorry.
I believe it was, she said it was 3, 4, and 5 that were going to take a little bit longer to weed out the wording. So if we wanted to prioritize like 7, 9, and 11, I don't know if those are the correct numbers first, then I feel like that totally makes sense. And I'm fine with that.
What about the group? Kenneth, Mariah, Judith?
Can I get the question one more time, please?
Question is, which one of these is particularly the first 6 vote getters? Which of these should be prioritized, especially like the top 3 could be going into our next build in October?
And is that because we have 5 that are at 3 votes? So they're all, so
Yeah,
there's not a
basically.
clear top 3. Okay.
Yep.
I see. Okay, option 7 is clearly in the forefront. That's fine. Are we aiming to figure out 2 to go along with the 5 that have 3 votes each?
I would think
What-
so.
Yeah, we could think about, are there any of these too that you think are not really necessary? And maybe leave off the list in a sense. It's another way of thinking about it.
I think maybe we all give our top two votes on the 5 that are tied at 3, huh? And then those would be the 3 that we're submitting along with option 7. Is
Yeah,
Well, my vote would be 7. Nine and 9 and 11. And then Samantha, you said you had to find out options 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah, for me, I'm seeing 3, 4, and 5 as I want us as a group, by which I mean you guys really, to spend some time really looking at at the wording and figuring out how we can word it the best possible way to be really easy and simple and good for people to read and understand what we're talking about. And I don't want to rush that. I want us to take our time and look at it. And I just don't feel like we have the time. Personally, my personal opinion is we don't have the time before 9:15.
Oh, 7, 9, and 11.
that's what you said, George, right? Is you said 7, 9, and 11 for your votes?
Yes.
Okay, I was just putting it down in the chat so we could try to have a tally kind of going, so to speak. I'm gonna figure out which ones I'd like to at least have an opinion on, I guess, and see if that helps us get a little closer with the group.
Yeah, 7, 9, and 11 for me. And the numbers you want, Maria?
Give me 5 seconds processing.
Can I ask a question on number 7?
please.
You say being signed out 10 minutes to 15 minutes. Is there any way to just put a warning there that you could be signed out and then ask the person to tap this if you want to stay in?
That exists. Yeah, we have that. But right now that happens, I want to say at 5 minutes of inactivity, and we want to push it out to 10 minutes because it says you'll be signed out in 5 minutes if you don't continue being active.
Oh, okay. I didn't know how it was already set up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I'm here, to give you the little bits of info to help you make the best decisions.
Yeah, because I think it needs to be a warning in there in between somewhere. And now you told me it's already there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, we don't want to surprise people, but we do want to give them more time because so the way that the system understands when you're active is when you click that next button. But if there are a lot of questions on that page and you're like putting in a lot of information, it can take a couple of minutes, especially if you're looking through your records to be able to answer it fully. 10 minutes is really short. It's shocking how fast 10 minutes goes.
Okay, I have a question for you, Samantha. If someone picks 3, 4, and 5, and you need to do more detail into that, where does that leave us?
I think that would be up to the group. We would either have to meet more frequently or we would have to handle it over email to get our rewrites and our suggestions and everything. I actually don't know if this group has set up a mechanism to kind of deal with offline work, so to speak, so that we could, hash it all out over email.
Yeah, we have, oh, I'm sorry, George, go ahead.
I know that you wanted to check the 3, 4, and 5. I'm just trying to come up with an idea with the group and not railroading 3, 4, and 5 when you're trying to find out more information about it.
It's really 4 that needs more information, just to make sure that we don't, because these are technical terms, that we don't monkey it up, so to speak, so that people can't identify them. 3 and 5 are just like their whole pages, or their paragraph to a whole page of text. So it's going to take us some time to get through, reading it, understanding it, making suggestions to changes, looking at other people's suggestions, that sort of thing, that iterative editing and feedback process. I'm just worried. I don't know that we can complete it in the amount of time we would need to complete it in, for this to get approved on time. So I'm not saying we can't. We can certainly try it. I'm down for whatever you guys want, but I do ask, I just want us to take our time and do a really good job on the text.
What
And-
we've been doing at the Home Care Commission on this same kind of an issue is that some of us have been rewriting some of the stuff, and each one of us that adds something puts it in a different color. So we can keep track of who's added what and how it fits. And then we just keep one document and going, and then can edit it as each person puts something new in, then the next person can go back over it and see how it fits.
Ruth, with the Home Care Commission, are you also required to write at a 6th grade reading level?
Yes.
I'm wondering if you're familiar with that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so that's another thing, right? And you're familiar with, we have to do that checking as well. So
Right.
Awesome, great. So yeah, that's been working for you guys. I mean, that's an idea we can go with. And Ruth, if you can help me to do that checking on 6th grade reading level, that would really be a huge help to me as well.
Yeah, well, the state has a program in there in the state archives that you just send your document through that program and it'll tell you if it's 6th grade.
Yeah, I find it's not getting the grade level that's the hard part, but then when it comes back at like 8th grade and you're like, oh gosh, how do I change this? That's where I struggle. Like, okay, what can I say different?
Okay, I'll find out what needs to be done then to change that.
Yeah, thank you.
Ruth, I have a question for you too. It's so what program do you use to get everyone's input? Is it a Word document that's emailed, or is it some other web-based program?
Yeah, it's an email. The attachment, we just go in and then we can edit the attachment. And then we send the attachment back out to everyone, and then they can go in and change what they want on it. And it seems to be working pretty good for us right now, because we've come up with some pretty good information to put in our new documents. But you do have to make the attachment editable, where everybody can get into it and write on it.
Right.
Okay,
Actually, and that was one thing I discovered on that on the one we did before the password change, is like, oh my gosh, they need the wording now, and so we just sort of came up with it. And I'd like for this group to come up with the wording for these ones in the future. So yeah, if we do end up with some options that need to be rewritten, especially with a short timeline, we'll have to do something like that. And we'll need quick responses.
But with doing it this way, we're able to put, my color is green. And so when I agree with what the other's saying, I just put agree in green behind it.
Mhm.
And then that way we know who's reading it and making sure everybody's voice is heard.
okay, the only votes we need now, Melissa, is Judith and Ruth's vote.
On 3 and 4?
Ruth and Judith are the only ones that hasn't voted yet.
So on between 3, 4, 5, 9, and 11.
Okay. Mhm.
From 2 on down, no one's voted on that.
Okay, wait a minute. I've just lost my screen.
So we're waiting for Ruth and Judith.
Well, at the present time, I tried to get the other one brought up so I could put it side by side, but I haven't been able to
And I'm having the same problem, Ruth.
because I really am having a difficult time reading this.
Let me reduce.
Let me
this.
stop showing the chart piece of it. I'll just show the questions. How's
Oh,
that?
thank
Those
you.
options.
That
Thank
would
you.
help
That's-
tremendously.
Definitely would.
Oh,
better?
yes. Oh, yes.
Let me know if you need it bigger. I can make it bigger too.
I can.
No, that's, I can see that one now.
Okay.
Hmm. Oh, shoot.
I guess number 9 to me is a concern with the amount that I do on the computer is to provide a link to returned. It's just hard sometimes to know which way to go when you get something and you have to change your password, then you have to verify you're the person that's making that password change, and to jump back and forth between your verification system and what you're trying to, the screen you're trying to fill in. So as simple as that could be made would be the best that we could get.
Oh, yeah. So to clarify this one a little bit, Ruth, I know this is like, you're not able to look at the screenshots right now. So you're, I don't do very well when I'm not looking at a screenshot. I'm trying to remember something from a sentence in a conversation we had a month ago. So kind of visualizing, if you can, you've tried to log into your account and it's giving you the error saying that your password is expired. You need a new password. So you go in to reset your password, and it's going to say, hey, give us your email address or your username, and you're going to type that in and you click OK, and it's going to say, okay, we've sent something to your email. You go to your email, you pick that up. So you're doing your verification that you are you, right? You pick it up, you click the link inside of it, and then it's going to say, okay, tell us the new password. So you type the password once, you type the password twice, to verify, to make sure you got it correct, right? And you hit submit or whatever it is. Okay, I can't remember what the button says, but you hit that button and then it says your password's been updated. And then you're just on the screen where it says your password's been updated and you can't go to sign in. So that's what we're saying. We need that link to go back to sign in at that point, because it just kind of leaves you hanging.
Perfect description. Thank you.
Okay, can I go ahead and vote now?
Please.
Okay. Number 1 is 7. Number 2 is 9. And number 3 is 4.
George, you're doing a better job of tracking who's voted and who hasn't. Who do we have left?
Okay,
I haven't voted.
Ruth hasn't voted yet.
4, 9. And I don't know the others. There's so many others that I don't know which one I'd place next.
You don't have to.
In
look.
our last meeting, Ruth, you mentioned the fact that we needed to increase the amount of time before being signed out from 10 minutes.
Hmm.
And
Well,
so
we've already talked about that one though.
yeah, but it's
Number
still, we're
7.
still voting on it.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
then I'll go back and put it back on then.
Uh-huh.
That was excellent work, Judith. Thank you.
Oh, Ruth and I are a team, so.
I love the teamwork. I love it.
So I didn't realize we are overdue for a break. Why don't we take that break? That'll give us a moment to tabulate and talk about the results, and we can move on to the rest of the meeting. But we're already quite a ways through. So let's plan on meeting just a minute after 3 o'clock.
Okay. James, I do have a question.
Yeah,
What are we,
sure.
what are you, Samantha, what are we going to be doing with the rest on from 2, 10, 12, 1, 6, and 8? We're going to be discussing those in the next meeting, or are we just going to get rid of them?
I think that's a great question, George. Some of those are ones that I really like and I don't want to get rid of them. So, but that's my personal bias, right? And this is, like I said, your group. I don't know if we want to kind of keep them around, bring in new things, and then like talk about them again, see if they get more votes versus other options, or if we're really just like disinterested in something. We can also, as a group, I feel like, say like, hey, absolutely, we're not interested in this one at all. And then like kind of not bring it up again. So yeah, I think that's some structural stuff we need to figure out.
Okay, so so at the next meeting on the rest of them that hasn't been voted on, we can talk about those in the next meeting. If the group is okay with that.
I think so, yeah. I do want to point out, I'm actually not going to be at the next meeting. I'm going to be in Florida, actually, speaking on behalf of Oregon about our system. So I'll try to get you guys set up in any ways that you need, but and see maybe if I can get somebody from our applicant portal technical support team to come in and be me for a day potentially. But yeah, I won't be here. So whatever the agenda is, we'll need to accommodate for that.
Okay.
Samantha, would you like somebody to take minutes for you? That way you're up to par on the meeting after that, if you're able to attend. Do you need a recap, or you're just gonna watch this recording possibly?
I
Like,
might watch the
on the
recording.
next one.
Yeah, I might watch the recording, honestly.
Okay, before we don't have you, I just wanted to make sure for the next
Yeah.
one.
I appreciate that, Mariah. Thank you.
We want to keep you involved, Samantha.
Well, I appreciate it. It makes it easier for me to make sure we get the changes in. Originally, James, I'm a little nerdy, guys. I'm a little deep divey. And James was going to be like, oh, I'll just let you know after. And we actually found it's a little bit easier for me to really advocate and make sure we get the changes in that you want if I'm here listening to what you're saying and kind of giving you real time like nerd information too. So I appreciate you guys letting me crash your party, honestly.
I think it's invaluable.
Well, that's just because I was going to have to cram all the information into your head, James. And you're like, oh, no.
Yeah, there's that.
I'm going to step away for just a minute, guys, and get some coffee. I have been struggling with a cold, and I thought this morning maybe I was over it enough to stop my cold meds, and I was not. And you know, when you stop your cold meds and you get off your flow, it messes your world up. So I need a cup of coffee. I'll be right back.
Agreed. Let's get back and talk about the vote results. So I think, not surprisingly, option 7, if we can get the screen back up, we could probably put it in the chat. But option 7 got the preponderance of votes. And so our top 4 vote getters were option 4 in second place, and then tied for third was options 11 and 9. And so, yeah, if we can get Angel or Melissa, if we could share the. There we go.
Is that what you're wanting, James? To share the vote?
Or maybe the one that, well, one thing you can do is if you click on view options at the top, there's that zoom ratio. They sort of bury it in there. You can click on a percentage to make the screen bigger, or Melissa can do that too.
Hold on, my screen just went all wonky.
Are you guys able to see that, or do you need it bigger?
Well, from my end, it's gonna need to be bigger.
Yeah, Angel, one thing you can do is you go ahead and make it bigger, and because we don't need all the options listed, actually.
Okay, one sec.
We took the chart off the other ones when and that made it bigger.
I can share that right here. Let me share again, Angel.
Okay.
And looking ahead at the data that was just posted in the chat, Melissa, was that the tally from everybody?
That was the tally. Yeah.
And so now it looks like we have a vote between 11 and 9.
Well,
We don't have to decide all today, I'm sure, but goodness.
yeah, well, actually, you know, our we do need to get something in by tomorrow. And that's what I've heard from Tiffany, for those internal people who know her. I'm supposed to get her our results for our things by tomorrow. And I do worry a little bit about, well, let's do the easy ones first. Let's talk about what we need to do in order to submit. So option 7, that one, I think seems pretty straightforward. We're just changing that. Are there other changes that need to be made in elsewhere in the applicant portal in the one system for option 7 to be implemented? What are some of the details that we need to worry about? And I'm leaning on Samantha once again for this.
That one's actually a really easy one. It's just a configuration, and it'll impact both the mobile app and the one online portal. That one's a really easy one. You could literally submit it just like that, James, and I can work with Tiffany to get what's updated. But that one's easy peasy.
Easy peasy.
We could put that one. So we have 2 slots for October 11th, and those all have to be finalized by September 15th. I feel like we need a calendar or like a visual for this group so they can understand, because I feel like I'm just rattling dates at you guys and I feel bad. But
No,
yeah, we rock. So for our for those of you tracking at home, we have October 11th and October 25th. We have to get everything for October 11th approved, like as in done, and the developers can start developing it by September 15th. We already have one item in there. And that was one James let me borrow because he was nice to me one time. One time. No, he's nice to me all the time, but he only let me borrow one time. And the other one is we could easily do option 7. That's a very easy one. We can just kind of like put that one in, bless it, and they'll do what they need to do, and they know what they need to do. That's a simple one. So then we just need to figure out the 2 that we want to get in for October 25th. We have to have those finalized by September 29th. So we could do option 4 and option 11 or option 9, and I think we'd be okay. Because we're not trying to cram all of our hardest stuff into one build. We can probably figure out option 4 and either option 11 or option 9 for that second October build.
Can I ask a question
go ahead,
on
Ruth.
number
Yeah, please.
on number 11? When
Sure.
you add a notice stating that passwords expire in 90 days, do
Yeah.
you have any kind of a mailing list that you send out any changes so everybody knows that there's a change that you could use to send that out to all the people that their password expires in 90 days? So that it wouldn't, so that they would have that information ahead of time before they even try to go in?
We do not have a mailing list that we use in that way. It is possible to compile that and send out a notification. Were you thinking of doing it one time, or are you thinking that we would want to add a automatic email that goes out and reminds people when they're getting close to that 90th day? I want to make sure I'm
Well, yes, more of it to remind people, but I mean, just a generic one that could be sent out to everybody. So you wouldn't have to weed down the list as to who should be sent, but could just everybody that uses the system just get an automatic reminder about passwords.
Let me look into that. We are, as a department, we're kind of looking into different ways we have opportunities to use our systems to communicate.
I know there's a worry too about like just the amount of stuff we send people already.
Yeah.
And I think the idea of this is like to let people know on the screen where they'll see. In fact, I'm a little fuzzy where this notice would pop up anyway, but presumably in a good place where it's like, it's when people need it, not when they're sorting through all their other emails.
How about if we do this? How about adding the statement to the passwords expired every 90 days? How about we put this on a brochure distributed to all the branches about the new one system?
Well, it's not changing any policy that 90 days, it's just adding a notice.
I know that.
Yeah.
There not just be like an asterisk when you're doing like the sign-in sheet from the very get-go that says reminder, passwords are subject to change every 90 days, just to have a general that way when you're logging in. And then when you do get exited out to have to renew a new password before you save it again, it's just the reminder is already on the front page.
Yeah.
Something to make it fast and easy so that patients are in awareness that it's going, you are going to be changing it. It's just a simple reminder that you see. So that way, when the time does pop up and their existing password times out, basically, and since that's probably the way the system kind of works right now, like the reconfiguration will let you know when you're due to reset your password or something.
That's a nice idea.
Just a simple asterisk reminder right on the front screen or something that's saying like password subject to change every 90 days. That way, when people are logging in, they're already seeing it's in their mind, oh, every 90 days it's going to change. So when it pops up and it happens, it's not a surprise to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think when we talked about this originally, we had looked at potentially 2 locations. One of them was that login screen. And then we were also looking at putting it on the screen when they're literally changing their password to be, again, hey, reminder that you're going to have to do this every 90 days. Don't forget. So we have some options of where we can put it in so that it's visual and it's there. And I think that as we're doing that, we want to kind of look at those screens and make sure we're not adding it in a way that it jumps out and it's not just like visual clutter, and I would rely on you guys to help us define, is this standing out or is this just falling into a bunch of other crud on this screen? So
I was thinking maybe a slight reminder on the password under the login portal on your front initial page, because then you're just not surprised by the change happening every 90 days, because it gives you a tiny little asterisk under where your password goes. And it says, password subject to change every 90 days. I wouldn't say that we'd want to do it on the page where you're already changing your password, because at that point we didn't forewarn them at all. It's just like, as they're already having to do it and they're like, oh great, thanks for telling me, now I'm already doing it, kind of thing,
Right.
So
Yeah.
I
no,
think if you give them that, like all of us, like, you know, warnings ahead of time, nobody usually likes to be taken off guard or surprised. And so if you have it on that very front screen where it's just a slight verbiage and it's just a small text change to just put under there, password subject to change. So that way, when people are getting frustrated trying to log in, it's not working, it would just click with them. Oh yeah, my password, you know, could have been subject change. Maybe that's what's going on, or the you know, process for resetting if they need to, or however they need to work on their case from there. But maybe that could be helpful.
Mariah, this is Judy. First of all, I understand how complicated your jobs are and that what I'm asking is probably a little over the edge, but I'm just thinking when I'm signing in and it comes up and it says your password is subject to change, what am I thinking? Every 90 days. When's my 90 days? When? Do I have to do it now? So now I'm thinking, okay, maybe I better stop what I'm doing and change my password, which is for some people a big deal. And I'm just wondering, is there, okay, your password is subject to change in the next, 90 days. I'm thinking, is there a date margin we can put in there? I know I'm asking the impossible, but you know how, hey, George asks, why can't I?
You know what,
So,
Melissa, I would love to tell you yes, but because they're not logged in, we actually can't tell them the countdown to when their password needs to change. Yeah.
okay.
Right.
Yeah, like
I think that was my hopeful like opinion on if we just put on there that it's subject to change, then when it actually drags them to the page of where, okay, now it's time to change your password, you can't say that you weren't told that it was going to be changed every 90 days, because then it's on your very front screen and you see it as you're logging in. So now when something's not going smoothly and you're trying to get in, you could say, oh, might have been my password, because I see that on the very front page when I'm trying to log in the first place. As long as it's just a little verbiage of a text reminder saying password subject to change every 90 days. That's just simple, it's broad, it's general. So I know
I'm not reading it,
Judith, and
I don't think I'm going to read it. I think I'm just going to go, oh, okay, and I'm going to pass over it.
Right, but then we also can't say that it's not there and that we
Oh,
didn't.
that's not fair.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm an attention to detail kind of person. I read the small, so not everybody operates in the same ways. You know, I might catch it not, but I'm just saying that it might leave a hint to the user that if something's not going smoothly when they're trying to log in, they relook at their front page and figure, oh, it's password. You know, it could just be a visual that is there. So whether how big we want to make the text or not, for it to be attention grabbing and for people to maybe see it more than if it was small or fine print and then you might skim over it, you know, then that's a different discussion on design, I'm sure, or something. But
I hear what you're saying, but I'm going to give you an example of people in my age group or in my sector of population. I have a cell phone, but I know how to do, I can call my aunt and I can call my daughter, and that's about it. Today, no, I'm talking about, this is a generality. I went to a Fred Meyer, and all the coupons that you can get on your food has to be scanned into your telephone through a mobile app. And then when you get up to the counter, it's already done. My daughter and I were shopping today, and we met, I'm not exaggerating, we met at least 12 people in the aisles going, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to, this guy had he had a bucket load of, he was a poor little guy. My heart broke for him. He was Farsi, and he had language barrier, and he said, can you show me how I can do this? And I'm like, no, because I haven't figured it out either. I had to bring my daughter to do it for me. And then, come on, we're not talking about people who are as used to using the system as you are and James and Angela. You're talking to people here who can't even go to the grocery store and scan the coupon. So we have to be patient with them.
Yeah, I understand, Judith. I'm in the same boat with you when I go to Safeway. I don't even know how to work the tech system and I'm 32 to do
Ugh.
like the mobile. So I get it. I share your frustration. I'm not
Thank you.
not
Thank you.
well versed in every single app and rewards program and this and that. They're all extremely confusing and every system has its own, it is frustrating.
So let's be something different. Let's be better than them.
So Judith, I think you have a really good point here. Well, both of you do. Right now on the screen is an idea of how it could be presented on that login screen.
Look how beautiful that looks. I'm really happy.
Judith, do you think that would be helpful?
Yes, I do.
I mean, but the better question is, and I think we can add it in another place too, but
I hate the robot thing, but I know it has to be done.
You are preaching to the choir. I also hate it. I hate our implementation of it. Oh, it makes me so mad every time.
It does. I have to do it over and over and over again, and finally the system just breaks down and sends me a message. But because
So,
my vision isn't like everyone else's. And so, like you're looking at Ruth who has vision issues and she's like, I don't know what that says. What does it say?
Judith, I really appreciate your input though, because I think this within our collaborative right now is the collaboration itself. By me being able to have, the input of the first page and you saying, okay, if we're gonna send a memo, it needs to be bigger, in detail for maybe our older adult population, who have a harder time. I definitely appreciate that. So in looking at this, I would just love your opinion on, do you feel where it said passwords expire every 90 days? Is that a good design? And
well, it is, but I would just make a little thing there that says, make note of your 90-day period, or make note of the date, so that they, 90 days, believe it or not, some of us goes by pretty darn fast.
I never even know when 90 days is either, Judith. It pops up in the moment.
It's gonna be September.
I have no idea. I only take it as it comes. I don't try to, dock it or anything like that. Just as
okay. How about password expires every 90 days as of such and such date?
No, I would put password expires every 90 days. How long has it been since you updated?
What about just even a simple password expiration counter when you log into your page?
I
like
like
on
that.
the home page on the top right, because there's some programs that I use that has that. It shows me how many days I have left to reset my password. Would that be possible?
Yes. Oh,
That
that would be
sounds good.
awesome. That would be awesome. Can you sell that to everyone, please?
April?
So I think that's actually a really good idea, and we can certainly ask if that's possible. Like, nothing stopping us from finding out if we can do that. I did want to query Ruth though, a little bit specifically, and I'm sorry to call you out, Ruth, but I want to make sure that visual clutter, we're not getting too visually cluttered on this screen with the location of that, and as well that the information that the individual needs to know is present. It stands out enough. Just from work on the mobile app and organizing and working with individuals who have low vision. It's my mindset.
To me, that the way this is set up is really good, because you've got colors and you've got spaced out, and you've got it where things won't run together so easily. And to me, I like it.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Thank you.
It looks good, Samantha. Thank you. It's like, even where it says the passwords, it's big, it's bold, and then it's also not far enough from the actual where you have to hit login. And so it's also right there. It's
right.
a strategic place.
Okay, so I think what we'll do is, as we take this back, we'll give our developers this screenshot for them to kind of work from, and we will also ask them about the possibility of adding the kind of countdown to when your password expires counter. Up in the upper right corner, kind of where it says like welcome and then the person's name. If you guys can think about how that looks when you're logged in. And we'll see if we can do something like that as well. We'll do some discovery with them, okay?
Samantha, we also need April and Sydney's.
Oh, thank you, George, for keeping me honest.
Sydney, April, what's your take?
I agree. I like the text, and I think if there's a countdown option that's actually feasible, I would vote for that as well.
Sydney?
That was me, Sydney, and it sounds like April just had to jump into another meeting, so.
Yep. There she is.
And April added in the chat that she liked that option as well.
Oh, it just now came up. Okay.
So unfortunately, we didn't get to the rest of our agenda, not surprisingly, because this is a robust discussion. I like to think that as we move forward, it will get more streamlined, but it's like we're discovering and enjoying all sorts of cans of worms that need to be examined. And so, yeah, we have to think about extending the meetings or meeting more often. George, you'll be joining us next week, so we can be talking about our agenda for our next meeting in 2 weeks. And we're gonna see what we can get on the build list among those 4. If one of them proves to be a little tougher to, that we need more input from you, it might get bumped to a subsequent month. I think that's what we're gonna be doing, but we'll just, among those 4, we'll get the ones that we can up immediately. We want you to, in the agenda, there is a graphic that we really want to talk to you about. And gosh darn it, we're going to talk to you about it sometime soon. Also in the agenda is a link to the suggestion form. We want your input on that. Please email your thoughts to the group or just to me, Melissa, Angel, whoever. But we want to know, is that something you would share with people, this form? And so many other topics, charter and bigger changes and things like that we have covered. But I really feel like this meeting is growing well and doing well, and it's because of your input. And I'm rambling a little bit. George, you have some thoughts to help wrap us up?
Well, I have one.
Okay.
In that I appreciate that you called on me and asked me. And that's why I get on these committees, because I really want to make sure that it works for people that have visual problems. And thank you for asking me today.
That's why I'm getting everybody involved. So, because it's very important that everybody has a say in all this. And not just 1 or 2 people. It's very important that we get this right, and because it not only affects us, but it also affects other people. So James, are you talking about the review, how feedback suggestions turn into changes graphics? Is that what you were talking about?
Yep, that's the graphic that's embedded in the agenda.
Okay, can we move that to the next agenda?
Yep, absolutely.
Are we already done on the finalized language for 1 improvement priorities?
That's in a sense what we've been doing to try to figure out, like the placement for that 90-day message. We're going to investigate some of these possibilities you discussed.
Okay, and what about the improvement suggestion form?
Yeah, we're going to have to do that via email. So please look out for your emails.
Okay, Samantha, are you going to give us updates on what you found out on 3, 4, and 5?
Yeah, I'll try to get some stuff together and have that ready. We can bring it out during our check-in next week and get it distributed out as you guys see fit.
And
I'll
when,
provide it to you and we'll see how you guys want to handle it.
And when do you want a response back on 3, 4, and 5?
I think with 4, because we did prioritize it a little bit higher than 3 and 5, let's focus on that one first. And it sounds like we just need to do a little internal work before we're ready to bring out options to the group. So I'll try to pull those together, and we can loop back on it and get them out to the group maybe next week. At least 4, and then 3 and 5 we might wait a little bit on, just to make sure that we got 4 well in hand.
Okay, so what are we going to do the rest on 2, 10, and the rest? Are we going to be talking about those in the next meeting?
Yep. Yeah, we'll definitely talk about those.
Okay, and when's our next meeting, James?
2 weeks. Same.
What, September 6th?
So yeah, I think that's no, September 6th isn't. Okay, George, you and I and our team are going to be meeting September 6th at 11. So I'm looking at Sydney, Kenneth, Mariah, and some of the others. You could certainly join us. And do please let us know.
Could you send us the link to join you so that if we can be there?
Okay, Ruth, if you're interested, absolutely.
Okay, so September.
And our next full meeting though is the 13th at 2 o'clock.
So Samantha, do you have everything you need?
2:05. That's the weirdest thing. 2:05. I'll take it.
So Samantha, do you have everything you need?
Yes, sir, I do.
And
Don't worry, I will email you guys if I don't.
okay, Melissa, do you have everything you need?
She had to run. She's picking up her kid.
Okay. Who else are we missing?
Oh, Brandy had to leave early. I know.
Okay. Okay. So we're going to be, come on with us at September 6th, 11 a.m. if you want to join us. As of now, I'm going to adjourn the meeting. I have to hop off and get my ride in 5 minutes. See you all on the next meeting.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, thank you. See y'all.
Thank you, Kenneth, for your great input.